Let's dive into a story that unfolds inside the human body every single month. We're going to go way beyond the basics to follow the incredible 28-day journey of a single egg, from its very humble beginnings all the way to its grand release.
So, when you think about the menstrual cycle, what is it really all about? I mean, we tend to focus on just one part of it, but there's a much bigger, more complex story at play here.
Right, because it's not just about a few days of menstruation. It is an entire 28-day epic of preparation, competition, and ultimately release. It's a biological masterpiece of timing and transformation, and that's the story we're going to unpack today.
Okay, first things first. Let's get in tune with the fundamental rhythm that drives this whole entire process.
The official definition here actually sets the stage perfectly. It's a series of cyclic events that happen in a rhythmic fashion. The key words you want to hang on to are cycle and rhythm. This isn't random at all. It's a finely tuned biological clock.
And get this clock runs for a huge part of a person's life. It usually kicks off with menarche around age 12 to 15, runs in these average 28-day cycles, and then it wraps up with menopause, typically between 45 and 50. So we are talking about hundreds of these cycles happening back to back.
The main stage for this entire journey is the ovary. Now, this diagram might look a little complex, but just think of it as a bustling hub of activity. Each of those little circular things represents an egg or an oocyte at a different stage of development. This is where our story really kicks off. And now for the first major act in our story. This is not just about simple growth. This is a highly competitive race to prepare one single champion egg for its big moment.
This whole stage is called the follicular phase, and it runs from about day 5 all the way to day 14. Its entire purpose is to mature an ovum, that's the egg, inside its protective little shell, which is called the ovarian follicle.
The follicle has to go through 4 distinct stages of development, kind of like leveling up in a game. It starts out as a primordial follicle and has to become a primary, then a vesicular, and finally a fully matured or Graafian follicle to win the game.
So, here's our starting point, the primordial follicle. It's basically an egg in hibernation. The cells around it, the granulosa cells, do 2 really important things. They feed it, and crucially, they release a chemical that keeps the egg dormant, preventing it from maturing before its time. Then, when the cycle begins, the primordial follicle gets the signal to wake up, and it becomes a primary follicle. Now those granulosa cells completely surround the egg. Everything starts to grow, the egg itself and the follicle, and a new protective outer capsule starts to form. The race is officially on.
Okay, now things are getting serious. About 6 to 12 of these primary follicles all level up at once, becoming vesicular follicles. Their cells are multiplying like crazy, and a brand new feature appears, a fluid-filled space called the antrum. You can think of it like a protective moat forming inside. And at the same time, that outer capsule thickens into a tough 2-layered shell called the theca.
This diagram gives us a great cross-section of what's going on. You can see the oocyte, our egg, nestled over on one side. That big yellow space, that's the fluid-filled antrum we were just talking about. And surrounding it all are those multiplying granulosa cells and that 2-layered outer shell, the theca interna and the theca externa. It's become this complex, self-contained little world, all getting ready for the final stage. So out of that whole group of 6 to 12 contenders, only one usually makes it to this final stage, the matured or Graafian follicle. So why just one? Well, through a really complex hormonal conversation, one follicle just outpaces all the others. It claims all the resources and becomes the sole contender. It swells up so much that it actually starts to bulge from the surface of the ovary, kind of like a tiny blister, just fully prepared and waiting for the signal for the main event. Which brings us to the climax of the entire 28-day journey. This is the moment everything has been building towards, the great release.
This huge event happens with incredible precision, right around the midpoint of the cycle, day 14.
And on this day, boom, the mature follicle ruptures. If you look at the large illustration on the right, you can see the follicle bursting open, releasing the ovum, our champion egg, out of the ovary. It's now swept into the fallopian tube, and it's finally free to continue its journey.
But what happens next is a critical turning point. The body now has to prepare for 2 very different potential futures. It has truly come to a fork in the road.
This chart lays out the 2 possible paths really clearly. After ovulation, the ruptured follicle doesn't just disappear.
No, it transforms into a temporary but vital new structure called the corpus luteum. Think of it as a support crew. And the fate of this crew and the entire cycle now depends on one question. Does fertilization happen or not?
So, here's the crucial point. If fertilization happens, the corpus luteum is maintained. It sticks around, producing hormones that will support a potential pregnancy. But if there is no fertilization, the corpus luteum gets a signal that it's no longer needed, and it begins to degenerate.
And the degeneration of that corpus luteum, well, that's the trigger that brings our 28-day story to a close and immediately sets the stage for the next one.
The hormonal drop from the breakdown of the corpus luteum is what triggers menstruation, which sheds the uterine lining. This marks day 1, and the whole intricate cycle starts all over again. A brand new batch of primordial follicles gets the signal to start their own race.
And that's it, the 28-day journey. An incredible, highly regulated race against time that happens month after month for decades. It really makes you wonder, you know? When we look at this level of complexity and precision, repeated hundreds of times over a lifetime, what does it tell us about the sheer power and intelligence of our own biology?